Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now Bitcoin is flashing a new signal in the short term that we need to pay attention to, while the price just liquidated hundreds of millions of dollars worth of trades over the last one day, while Ethereum is still repeating history here in the short term. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, taking a look at the 4-day Bitcoin chart, and as of right now, the super trend indicator is still currently flashing this red signal, at least for now. So over the last one day, not much has changed on this chart right here. And if we're taking a look at this 2-day Bitcoin chart, we can see, at least for now, the price of Bitcoin is still currently trending in the more bearish direction, forming lower highs and lower lows, with this line of support still sitting at around 53,500 approximately, and this line of resistance still sitting at around 68,500, forming this descending broadening wedge pattern. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, as of right now, the price of Bitcoin is still trading right in between this area of support and this area of resistance. First of all, just a few days ago, we actually saw a bounce from this area of support in between around 56,000 to 57,000, and just over the last one day, we've actually seen a rejection from this critical area of resistance, at least in the short term, in between around 60 to 61,000. And so just in the imminent short term, those are the areas of support and resistance that I'm currently watching. But if we see a breakout back above around 61,000, in that case, we should expect some more resistance close to 63,000, just underneath 63,000, and a little bit more resistance around 64,500, and much more resistance in between 67 to 68.3k. And as for support, once again, we have this area in between around 56 to 57,000. But if we see a confirmed break back below around 56,000 with candle closes on the daily chart, for example, back below 56k, then in that case, we have this critical area of support in between around 51,000 to 53,000. But once again, at least as of right now, these are the short-term support and resistance areas that I'm currently paying attention to for the price of Bitcoin. And at least as of right now, once again, we're still within this bearish trend, despite seeing a bit of a bullish relief and some choppy sideways price action in the shorter term. So as always, it's important to understand the difference between the different timeframes. And with that being said, if we're taking a look at the shorter term, looking at the 2-hour Bitcoin charts, first of all, over the last couple of days here, we've actually seen this bullish divergence basically completely play out pretty much perfectly over the last few days. But obviously just over the last half a day or so, we've now seen a little bit more of a pullback. And obviously I mentioned over the last couple of days, I would not necessarily expect this bullish divergence to continue to play out much longer. So obviously it played out for a couple of days here, and that's very normal to see for a bullish divergence just on the 2-hour time frame, because like I said in my last video, something on the 2-hour time frame does not play out over weeks or months, usually just for a few days or so. But with that being said, if we're taking a look at this line of support in the 2-hour Bitcoin RSI, and we actually extend that line outwards, we can see that right now the RSI is basically coming into contact and potentially bouncing from this exact line of support where we've bounced from previously. And if the RSI actually holds above this line right here and basically bounces from this line, then it's possible we could continue to play out this bullish divergence just in the shorter term, possibly for another day or two. Because if we're taking a look at the last couple of times where the RSI has actually bounced from this line of support right here on the 2-hour time frame, we've actually seen a bit of a short-term bullish relief over the following 1 or 2 days after that bounce in the RSI. And so once again, if we can actually confirm this bounce right now, especially with confirming this next candle close here in the green on the 2-hour time frame, then that could potentially confirm the continuation of this bullish relief, at least for another day or two. But once again, when we're talking about a small time frame like the 2-hour chart, we're only talking about the short term, as in what we could be expecting over the coming hours or days, not weeks or months. If we're wanting to talk about weeks or months, we have to zoom out to a slightly larger time frame. And so once again, at least for now, we're still seeing a little bit of a relief here in the short term from this bearish trend, but both are true at the same time because, of course, during a bearish trend, we can see some bullish reliefs here and there during a bearish trend. And so that is the situation right now, and that is a signal to pay attention to right now here in the short term for the price of Bitcoin. And if you want to actually trade these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally I take just about all of my trades over on Bybit, so I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account and deposit on that account, then you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here, which is a massive lucky draw happening right now over on Bybit, where you could potentially win up to $100,000 just by trading crypto using the link down below this video. And so if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is also Bitflex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitflex, and so I'll also make sure to leave a link to Bitflex down below this video as an alternative crypto exchange. And with that being said, if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, at least as of right now, we still have a little bit of liquidity to the upside here, but over the last one day, we've taken out a major area of liquidity that was sitting at roughly around $60,000, or more specifically, in between around 59.8k to around 60.1k, give or take. And obviously, I mentioned in my last video, in fact, over the last 2 days, I've said that we have some major liquidity right around there. So I said over the last 1 or 2 days here on the channel that we should be expecting very soon for the price to basically take out that liquidity with a quick move, basically right to that level right there to take out that liquidity, which is exactly what we have seen as expected. The price took out that liquidity, went exactly to just above $60,000 before seeing this next little pullback right here. And so now that we've seen that move play out as expected, what should we now be expecting moving forward? And well, first of all, we do have a little bit of liquidity below the price at around 57.9k to 58k, and some more liquidity to the downside at around 55.8k approximately. But with that being said, the majority of the liquidity as of right now is actually still sitting to the upside above the current price. First of all, we still have some liquidity at around 60.2k to 60.4k, give or take, and we have a decent level of liquidity at around 61.9k to 62.1k. And so at least as of right now, those are the main price targets here in the short term, the areas of interest to pay attention to. And especially if we see this signal continue to play out here in the short term on the 2-hour time frame, we could likely see a move back up towards those levels of liquidity. Once again, if we further confirm this bounce here in the RSI by seeing at least this candle close confirm in the green on the 2-hour time frame, and ideally an extra one, but basically once we confirm that bounce in the RSI, then we're likely going to continue to see a little bit more of a bullish relief just in the short term here. But once again, it is important to remember that all of this, at least for now, is still occurring within this slightly larger bearish trend here on the 2-day chart, for example. But with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, and right now the price of ETH is technically still within a bearish trend similar to Bitcoin on a similar time frame, because as of right now, we're still seeing lower highs and lower lows, which is what a bearish trend is. But obviously, during more of a bearish trend, we can of course see short-term bullish price action here and there, which I've been saying over the last 1 or 2 weeks. We should be expecting a bit of a bullish relief, at least from all of the bearish price action here, because basically the RSI got extremely close to oversold territories, even on the 3-day time frame, which is a big deal, telling us we're due to see a bit of a break from all of the bearish price action, at least in the short term. And the support and resistance levels on this chart right here have not changed over the last 1 day. So we still have this golden pocket in between around 2150 to 2.2k. And we have this 50% retracement level acting as support at around 2.5k. And we have a critical level of resistance at around 2.8k. So that will be a big deal to break out above. If we see a breakout back above 2.8k, that will be a big deal, at least in the short term. And above 2.8k, we have some more resistance at around 3.2k. And if we're zooming into the short term, looking at the 4-hour time frame, this is the current day price action, and this is March 2020 entering into April 2020. Once again, we can still see very similar price action right now compared to what we saw back here. And like I explained in a little bit more detail in my last video here on the channel, if we confirm a breakout above 2.8k, which is basically this high right here, the range high for this sideways price range that we're forming right now, very similar to what we saw back here. And so if we break out above that range high, 2.8k in the short term, that will be a very bullish signal, at least in the short term, similar to what we saw back here in the price of ETH entering into April 2020. Because we can see for some time the price of ETH basically chopped around sideways in a bit of a sideways price range here, basically with resistance back then was actually sitting at close to $150 per Ethereum. But once we broke out above that resistance level right there, we can see a decent move up over the next 1 or 2 days in the price action. And in fact, if we're measuring out that previous move here in the price of ETH from the breakout above that resistance, so from around 148, give or take, based on these candle closes, up towards that next high, that was actually around a 19%, nearly a 20% move up over the next 1 day or so. And so that is why 2.8k is an important level to pay attention to, because once again, if we actually confirm a breakout above 2.8k, then we could finally see a decent move up, at least just in the short term. And so 2.8k is the resistance to pay attention to, but of course, while the price is still below 2.8k, it is still definitely possible to see rejections from that level. So keep that in mind. We need to first confirm a breakout above 2.8k in order to start flipping more bullish again in the short term and expecting much more bullish price action. But until then, I still expect a bit of a break from all of the bearish price action, mostly in the form of a sideways consolidation until we eventually break out above resistance. Once again, we're still, at least for now, looking relatively neutral just in the short term during a slightly larger bearish trend. At least for now, that is the current situation. And with that being said, if we're taking a look at Solana on the daily time frame, as of right now, the price of Solana is still finding support basically in between around 139 to 144, and we have some key resistance at around 158 to 162, more resistance at around 170 to 175, and significant resistance in between 183 to 187. And if we actually see a further break to the downside here, then in that case, the next major area of support is sitting in between around 120 to 128, and that's basically the significant area of support for this entire sideways price range. Because obviously, as I've mentioned many times just recently here on the channel, as of right now on the daily time frame, the trend and momentum for Solana is not really bullish or bearish, because we're just in a massive sideways price range with relatively horizontal highs and horizontal lows. But of course, during this choppy sideways price range, we can see short-term bullish moves and short-term bearish moves during the sideways trend. And believe it or not, you can actually make a lot of easy profits from choppy sideways price action just like this. And if you want to know how to do that, then make sure to watch the video in the bottom left of your screen right now, because that video right there shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action, and the video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.